Hi. All through my childhood, as far back as I can remember, I wanted to be a lawyer, then a judge, and a Supreme Court justice. I enjoyed school and worked very hard to earn good grades. Even at a young age, I knew that women weren't allowed the same aspirations as the other gender. That knowledge pushed me to work harder and to look higher. Unfortunately, I was the first person in my immediate family to possess a desire to succeed in school. My parents didn't know how to teach me to study effectively. Without good study habits, I floundered along, reading, writing, and taking notes, doing the best that I could. Fortunately, some of my teachers saw how hard I worked and took pity on me. The first time I earned a D, I felt like I was dying on the inside. It was an honors geometry class the second semester of my freshman year in high school. Math had always come easily to me, and I felt like geometry with its proofs and theorems was another language. That was a hard learning experience for me. I worked my way through high school, overall doing and trying very hard. Toward the end of my senior year in high school, I started feeling burned out because I was taking advanced placement classes. The second semester of my 12th grade year's report card was the worst in my history as a student. I'd been studying so hard and for so long and inefficiently that I was really burned out. I went away to university the following fall and was immediately lost. I felt like a small fish in a very large pond. On top of that, my school was across the country and I felt really homesick. I ultimately left for college and returned to the West Coast. I felt completely defeated and just knew that I wasn't smart enough to earn a degree. The decision to leave school and return home was loaded with disappointment and fear. The dreams of my childhood were chalked up to childish dreams. I needed to find a happy place, and I found it in partying. I was a naturally shy person that desperately wanted to be the life of the party. I quickly learned that alcohol took me there. It became my very best friend. The next 5 years of my life were consumed by parties, alcohol, and drugs. I got and lost jobs quickly, rarely working anywhere more than a year. When I could pay my rent, my car payment, and my insurance in the same month, I really thought that I had finally arrived. As you may have guessed, that measure of success quickly became no longer achievable. I soon found myself living in an apartment that I couldn't afford. My paycheck was often spent the same weekend that I received it and rarely spent on the bills that I needed to pay. My brother and I moved in together so that we could dedicate ourselves full time to the business of partying and could share the burden of the bills together. Thankfully, our parents cared for us and helped us when they could. My mom drove 2 hours away from her home to pick me up, along with my cat and the few belongings that I had, and hauled me all the way back to her home. She helped me get clean and dried me out. A mother's love is such a wonderful gift. About a year later, I checked myself into drug and alcohol treatment center, and I have been able to embrace the recovery lifestyle ever since. Those first few years living without the crutches that I had come to learn to use were a challenge. I worked in a challenging job. I started learning how to pay my bills like a grown-up. Essentially, I was a productive member of society. Fast forward to mid-2016. I'm now 13 years sober, and I've earned a great position with a well-recognized insurance company local to me. I'm treated well, I'm paid well, and I have great benefits. I love my job. I pay my bills on time, and I really finally am feeling like an adult. The company posts a hiring notice for a legal secretary position. I read through the description, and I don't give it a second thought. This position is way beyond my skill set and potential. A few days later, during a one-on-one with my supervisor, she asked if I had considered the legal job. I balked and explained that there was no way I could do that job. It was really advanced. My supervisor had the faith in me that I lacked. With her encouragement, I applied for the legal secretary position. I edited and re-edited my resume wording and my application questions. About a week after the posting closed, I was pleasantly surprised when I received an invitation to interview. My supervisor saw something in me that I didn't. During the panel interview, I really connected with the attorneys and the secretary that interviewed me. It turned out that some of my previous experience could be useful. A couple of weeks later, after not hearing about the committee selection, I was sure that the position wouldn't be mine. Then they called. I was shocked and delighted and so full of gratitude. I started the new position mid-November in 2016. Those first few months were packed full of learning and training. I'd never worked in the legal field, so my experience came from TV shows like Law and Order and CSI. Needless to say, my knowledge was vastly inadequate and I had a lot of learning to do. Just when I started feeling like I knew what I was doing 4 months into my position, my managing attorney told me that I would be taking over supporting our appellate desk. This was an entirely different job. I was now responsible for formatting and editing all of our Court of Appeals and Supreme Court briefs and motions. Sometimes those briefs are more than 40 pages. It was a crazy big challenge. At the time all of this chaos was happening, though, I discovered that my mind worked better if I had something going in the background, so I started listening to books. I bought 2 books on Audible, The Notorious RBG and In My Own Words. I began to learn about the unstoppable Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the woman that would become my hero. The book took me back through her past, including information about some of her landmark cases. It brought tears to my eyes to learn about how much harder she had to work to earn the same degree that the men earned. The law firms then wouldn't allow her to use that degree because of her gender. When her husband was sick with cancer, she typed his dictated papers and then stayed up and did her own. I thought, if she could do it, I can surely return to school and finally earn the bachelor's degree. Learning more about her struggles and the struggles of her generation and the powerful women gave me such a feeling of gratitude. It was due to her work that women like me now have the freedoms that we enjoy. Reading those books rekindled a fire inside of me that started in my childhood. I found small places where my little girl's thoughts and dreams have quietly been waiting for me. I want to do something that matters. I want to make a difference for my children and for their children. My education is the next step in a long line that I look forward to of making a positive impact on the world. Thank you for being a part of that.